In this video, I'll be sharing a few ways that I style and paint male hair. To keep it simple, I'll just stick to 3 hairstyles. With this hairstyle, I started by drawing the bangs on the forehead first. I'm gonna start by making the bangs go towards the right, and then draw a few short layers on top, either facing right or the opposite direction. Then I start outlining the shape of the head, making sure that it appears oval. And then on the outer parts, I drew a few hair strands sticking out. I also encourage flipping your drawings because this way you can see disproportion or seeing which side is more round or flat. For the side view, I'm going to speed it up because basically I'm just repeating the same step as I did the front view. The second one is like a messy slick back hairstyle. I start off by drawing the little strand of hair outwards from the face. I drew a few loose hair strands to make the hair appear messy, and then draw the hair backwards towards the back of the head. Here I'm just flipping back and forth to see if the shape is round. For the side of the head near the ear, it appears diagonal and then round towards the top. These hairstyles are based on my observations and are mainly influenced by K-pop and anime. As for the third hair, it will be really short and long on the top center. This last one will be kind of like a coarse hair instead of a fine hair and slightly curly. On the sides, I make the hair more angular and sharp. For coloring, I added a new layer and press and drag that new layer below the sketch layer, so the colors will go behind the sketch instead of over it. With either the pen brush or the watercolor brush, set the opacity to max and apply the base colors. After the base colors are applied, I'm going to mark Protect Alpha. This will allow you to paint within the shapes that you drew previously without going outside of it. Then I switched to the airbrush and I lowered the opacity. After that, I picked a lighter color or a color similar to the skin color and applied that to the edges of the hair to create a fading effect. On top, I picked a darker color and applied it to that area to create a shadow. Then switched to the oil pastel, and what I did is I used the eyedropper tool to capture the color that I applied previously and draw hair strands from it. Also, I'm going to speed up some parts of the video whenever I'm done explaining, just to prevent this video from being longer than it should. Switching to the fur texture, I apply that to the hair near his ear and then the lower side on the back of his head. I smudged out the edges to soften the hair a little bit. And then I picked a light purple and applied that to the highlight areas. I gently pressed down my pen tablet to create thin lines, then smudge out the edges. As for the second hair, I used the same technique. I applied the shadow in the highlight area with the airbrush first, and then with the watercolor brush, I used the colors that I applied previously and then draw hair strands from it. I used the fur texture to create more hair strands. For the third hair, I skipped through the process of applying the airbrush. So what I did next was to switch to the oil paint and apply that to the side. Make sure that these little squares are the same color, so that when you applied it, it doesn't create two different shades of colors. On top, I captured the darker shade and then draw hair strands with that color. Then I used the eyedropper again and captured the lighter color and then draw hair strands with that color. I repeat the steps back and forth. And I go back and add more highlights. As for the front view, I will speed that part up because I use the same techniques but just at a different perspective. Alright, that's about it. I'm also still experimenting and finding ways to paint, so don't take my words literally. But I hope that this video can be a helpful guide, and thank you so much for watching.